to just watch
You
you
can
do
start
it.
now.
It is a lot of fun to watch something just to be created right in front of your eyes. And in this particular rose that this is a photo that I took in my garden. I did not like the leaves that they were on the rose, so I just picked some other leaves and added this for my competition just to have the balance. And it's great, as artists you can do all that. I'm going to use my larger brush and with a darker color.
And that's to create a shadow?
I wanted to create the shadow. Like I say, you do not want to disconnect the darker color, the background. It always reveals a little bit in the background. And what I'm doing is I'm using very little paint. As I was told that the old masters technique that they used very little paint, and they always use a blending brush, which is very important. So we don't have very heavy strokes like in some art they do, and I blend together.
Did you know how to, or did you instinctively do this before you took lessons?
For this particular rose, I did a lot of things on my own, but I did not understand. For example, very first thing that you have to discover is where does the light come from? And the shadow is always opposite of the light. And if you wanted to make like the turns right here, I learned a lot in lesson of how to do the roses. For example, how the darker color works for me right now. I'm adding some shadow, and this is called the technique that I'm kind of blending the color together, but it's very, very, very little paint. This is so much fun. And one thing is, if you mess up something with oils, you can always go back and, you know, it's not the end of the world. You just go back and, or you wipe it out and put some other color. But this shadow color, what it's doing for me is wrapping the leaves under. And right here also, things from distance are much darker and cooler. So if we wanted to bring things up forward, we wanted to use warmer colors and we want to push them back, use cooler colors. Either it's cooler red and then warmer red up in the front. And this is what we're doing right now.
This particular painting has such gorgeous colors in it.
Well, they're very vivid. I am not afraid of colors, you can see.
No.
And many people ask me is, do you only do pink roses or red or whatever? And what I would like to just take a minute and this particular painting here, I painted for that reason, just to show to some of my friends and viewers that I can do many different colors. And also look at the different shape that all roses are. And what it does, this is named Bouquet of Roses. It is a photo that I took flowers, roses from my garden, and it's a really heartwarming painting, and lots of leaves, and the contrast also, I'm using the black background to really make them stand out. And you know, one thing that I also like to talk about is, before I start painting, I divide my canvas on thirds, and where the lines are crossing, that's where your focal point is. And why do we do that is, you need to have the lightest colors in that area so it allows the viewer to rest his eye. And also it's very important to have how the viewer's eye comes and travels through the painting. So it's really fun and restful. Like I say, I'm kind of bouncing around with darker colors, and I'm just doing some very light touches. See that this gives me the direction that I'm pulling, it gives me the curvature and the shape. It kind of folds the petal.
Are you intending to enter this painting in a competition?
Yes. After it's done, like I say, I'm almost done with it. I have to do the highlights and some shadow. When the painting completely dries, I will liquid it.
What does that mean?
That's a varnish that we use. Like on that painting, you can see I varnished it with the liquid. It gives you that soft satin look, which is really nice for the paintings. And
does that protect the painting if the sun shines on it?
It's totally safe and protected, and it's like any other varnish. Also, it's a medium that you can mix with colors. Sometimes what I do is, like right here, I went and I did my shadow color immediately. Sometimes I do my middle color and then I would mix middle, a little bit of liquid with the darkest red and do the shadow, and that's very interesting. Okay, this part here, I also wanted to make a curvature.
Before we leave, could you show us how you do the water spot?
Yes, I would love to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do one right now. Just
Good.
wanted to go really fast and to
It's
show some-
amazing how all of this turns out and becomes just a memorable piece of art.
I'm doing, because it's this where points where the light comes from, I'm adding just a little bit. It's bright yellow with white, and I wanted to warm up this area so it will bring things forward. I'm retouching, and also it's creating the third value right here. It's not all white. See the little yellow we're doing right here. And right now I would like to do
Do the water
one
spot.
water drop.
Mm-hmm.
The very important thing is on the paddle, you wanted to find out what is the color of the shadow. And I'm going to do one right here. This leaf droops, so I'm gonna make it a little larger. And like I say, I always have to remember the light comes from here, so this is my darker shade. Then we take a little bit of softening
It
brush.
makes it look real.
Well, like I say, it does bring the freshness to the flower. I soften the side a little bit, and then you take a little bit of a lighter blue, and you kind of go in number C. You wrap it around.
That makes it stand out.
Yes, it does. And one very important thing is you do not want to, again, disconnect the color. You want it to show some color petals through here. And then we just kind of smooth it a little bit. And what this does is it gives that kind of hazy look. You see through it. And then we do a very little tiny drop. Points out where does the light come from. We will do one here, but because the leaves, the darkest color is like a little bit of green and blue, we will mix just a tiny bit, a little green. And I will do one right here. If it's closer to you, it's a little larger. So I'm going to do a big one so the viewers can see. Like
You
again,
could be a teacher yourself now.
it's kind of fun to pass on what also we are given.
Absolutely.
And I truly enjoy that. We again wanted to soften this side. I wanted to go just a little bit more. The left side, the shadow side, has to be a little deeper. Soften up this one. And by the way, we have to make sure that the canvas is dry. Otherwise you will have, so you only put the water drops in very dry surface. And we're using the same lighter shadow. I'm going to make this one a little bit more dramatic.
You know, this would be thrilling to watch the whole thing, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So at least we have been able to give the viewers a chance to see just what an artist does and what they think. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Myrna, for having me here. It's a delight to be with you here today.